The father of PHP is none other than Rasmus Lerdorf. If I want to write script, what are the things I want to include? In that, I have the conditional statements. What is PHP? P stands for personal, H stands for home, and P stands for page. Hello to all, a warm welcome to my new subject, and the subject name here is PHP and MySQL. This subject is introduced by Mysuru University for 6th semester B.C.A student. And in my today's session, I'm going to deal with basics. That's nothing but the introduction about PHP and MySQL. I'm your Revati ma'am, faculty from the Department of Computer Science, Vidhyaashram, first grade college, the Temple of Excellence, MYSURU. So dear student, as the subject name suggests that it is PHP and MySQL. So what is PHP? PHP is nothing but personal home page. In early days, it is called by the name personal home page. Nowadays, it is hypertext preprocessor. And what about MySQL? It's nothing but the Microsoft SQL. Anyway, dear student, in my today's session, I'm going to deal with what is PHP, why we use PHP. Along with that, we are going to study about MySQL, how we connect MySQL, and what are the different topic comes under the subject, all those things we are going to study. Anyway, let's see the agenda of today's session. That is, at the beginning, we are going to deal with prerequisites. At the same time, we are going to deal with learning outcome of the subject. Then we are going to deal with number of units comes under the subject. Along with that, we are going to deal with the internal patterns as well as external exam pattern. That's nothing but the question paper pattern. Instead of wasting time, let's start with the prerequisites. So dear student, the subject name here is PHP and MySQL. And who is the father of PHP? That's none other than Rasmus Lerdorf. So I repeat, the father of PHP is none other than Rasmus Lerdorf, and he created PHP in the year 1994. Then what about PHP? PHP stands for personal home page. I repeat, PHP stands for personal home page, and nowadays it is called by the name hypertext preprocessor. And what is MySQL? That is Microsoft Structured Query Language. Why I required PHP? It is mainly used to create dynamic web page. So what is web page? Web page is nothing but the collection of document. And when I have collection of web page, then it is called website. To create dynamic web page, okay, to create dynamic web page, we use PHP. Not only dynamic web page, to create server-side scripting, we use PHP. So what is server-side scripting? Here server-side scripting is nothing but the codes are going to run at the server. So the codes are going to run where? In the server. Now, okay, think that I'm the client. Okay, I request some page. Now, the codes are processed at the server and I'm going to get only the result. So, client can able to get only the result. And what about dynamic web page? So, the contents are going to change each time. To develop these kind of web page, we will go with the PHP. So, the PHP is a scripting language and it's a general purpose programming language and it's mainly used to develop web application. Then why I want MySQL? See here, I'm going to combine PHP and MySQL. Why? Because, okay, if I want to process any script at the server, okay, what I required? I required the connection. What kind of connection? Database connection. Okay, to establish database connection, I'm going to use MySQL along with the PHP. These are the basic thing we are going to learn. Okay, fine. Dear student, if I want to become master in the subject, okay, I want to start from the scratch. So, to learn this subject, you does not require any prerequisites because we are going to learn from the scratch. Okay, fine. I'm going to start from the scratch. So, you does not require any prerequisites to master in the subject. Okay, fine. Now, if I see the outcome. Okay, fine. You may ask me why I'm using HTML. So what is the name here? PHP, that is hypertext. Okay, it is hypertext preprocessor. So here to run PHP, I'm using the interpreter. Dear student, we are all familiar with the translator. What are the translator we know? We know assembler, we know compiler, and we know interpreter. So what is interpreter? It is going to execute one line at a time and it's going to produce the output. Now, in our PHP, we use the PHP interpreter. So, dear student, if you learn this subject, then you can able to design dynamic and interactive web pages as well as website. So, what is dynamic? The contents are going to change each time. And to develop dynamic and most interactive web page, then we will go with the PHP. Now, here we will learn how to write PHP script as well as how to run the PHP. At the same time, we will learn how to run the PHP on the server. Along with that, we will learn how to handle the MySQL. In the sense what? How we can able to connect database with the PHP script. All those things we are going to learn. Okay, so we are going to master in this field. That is how to create a dynamic web page and interactive web page. At the same time, how to write this scripting language like PHP and how to establish the connection. That is nothing but the database connection. These are the things we are going to study. Now, dear student, if I see the number of units comes under this subject, that is 5 units. How many units? 5 units. I already discussed that we are going to study in depth about this subject. So, in my first unit, I'm going to discuss only about the introduction part. Introduction part in the sense what? We are going to study only the introduction about PHP. That is nothing but the introduction to PHP. At the same time, we are going to discuss history as well as features of PHP. At the same time, we are going to discuss about installation and configuration of PHP, how we can able to embed PHP code in our web pages as well as understanding of PHP, writing comments in PHP, okay, keywords used in PHP as well as operators in PHP. These are the things we are going to deal in our unit 1. Okay, fine. If I consider unit 2, see, it is programming with PHP and unit 2 includes 3 chapters. So, if I want to write script, What are the things I want to include? In that, I have the conditional statements. So what is conditional statement? I hope student you are familiar with if else, nested if, switch statement, all those things. So we will study once again in our PHP. Next, we are going to deal with question mark, the question mark operator. At the same time, we are going to study about looping statements. In the sense what? How we can able to use while, do while or for loop in our PHP. At the same time, we will deal about arrays in PHP. So what is an array? Array is nothing but it is a group or collection of homogeneous element. How to create array in PHP? What are the different types of arrays supported by the PHP? And how we can able to access the array element? All those things we are going to study under Unit 2, that is nothing but the chapter 2. Okay, fine. If I consider the third chapter, that is nothing but the function. So what is function? How to create a function? Okay, how PHP supports functions? All those things we are going to study in our Unit 2, that is nothing but the chapter 3. Okay, fine. So function includes requiring files, okay, that is using, include and require. At the same time, how we can able to create implicit functions as well as, okay, how we can able to perform the typecasting. So what is typecasting? Conversion. Converting one data type to another data type is called typecasting. So here I have the implicit typecasting as well as explicit typecasting. Now, if I consider third unit, so how many chapter? It is 2 chapter. So in first chapter, I'll be dealing with functions and strings in PHP. So how we can able to create a function, how to write a definition of the function, how to create a function, and how can I invoke user defined function, how to pass the parameters, all those things we are going to learn under Unit 3. At the same time, we have this string. So what is string? A string is nothing but the collection of character or group of character. How to create a string, how to declare a string, what are the string functions are supported by the PHP, all those things we will learn under Unit 3. Fine. If I consider Unit 4, we are going to deal with what is class, what is object, how to create a class, how to create a object. Okay, at the same time, we are going to study about how to create a function. That's nothing but the member function. How to create a methods. All those things we are going to study in our Unit 4. At the same time, we are going to deal with overloading. There's nothing but the method overloading. What is inheritance? How we can able to inherit the properties, all those things we will learn. At the same time, we are going to discuss constructor and destructor. So all the object-oriented programming concept we are going to study under Unit 4. Now, if I consider second chapter under Unit 4, that is form handling. Anyway, dear student, we are learned HTML in our 4th semester, that is in the subject multimedia and animation. So I can say it's a continuation, okay, because we learned all the basics in our multimedia animation. Now, okay, we are trying to learn how to create a dynamic web page. For that, once again, we must have the HTML forms. So how to create HTML form, how to handle HTML form data in PHP. At the same time, we are going to deal with database handling using PHP with MySQL. So we have many database software, that is MySQL, Oracle. Okay, now Here we are going to deal with how MySQL can be combined with the PHP. So here we will learn about introduction to Microsoft SQL, the database terms, database types, all those things we are going to learn in our unit 4. Fine. The last unit here is unit 5. So here once again we are going to learn how to access MySQL. So how we can able to establish the connection. So that is using MySQL client and using PHP MyAdmin. Anyway, dear student, we are going to study all the things in depth. Okay, so how we can able to write MySQL commands, what are the commands we have, okay, all those things we are going to learn under unit 5. And if I consider second chapter under unit 5, that is using PHP with MySQL. Okay, PHP MySQL functions, what are the functions, okay, MySQL provides, how we can able to use those functions in my PHP scripting language, how to connect MySQL and how we can able to select databases, how to execute simple queries, how to retrieve query results, all those things we are going to study under unit 5. So unit 5 completely how we are going to connect or how we are going to establish the MySQL connection, how to access the data from the database, how to retrieve, how to store, how to create tables, all those things we are going to learn under unit 5. So these are the 5 different units comes under PHP and MySQL. Now I have the internal part. So dear student, if I consider internal, okay, we are going to have 3 internals and each internals for 30 marks. Okay, fine. If I consider internals, first internals unit 1 and unit 2, second internals unit 3 and unit 4, and third internals, okay, unit 5, and I'm going to pick any one chapter from remaining 4 units. And the total weightage of the internals is 30 marks. And while finalizing the internal marks, I'm going to consider best of 2. Okay, so I'll pick 2 internals and I'm going to add those 2 internals and I'm going to divide those marks by 2, and whatever the marks you're going to get, that is your final marks. Now, if I consider question paper pattern, see here, I have the question paper pattern. The subject is for 60 marks. So you have the theory as well as practical. Practical is only for 25 marks. Okay. Now I'm not going to discuss anything about lab programs. Okay. So it is only for 25 marks and theory is for 60 marks. And how many units we have? We have 5 units. From each unit you can expect 12 marks. So if I consider part A, how many units I have? 5 units, and each unit I can expect 10 marks. Okay, so I have 1, here I have A and here I have B. Now here I have 6 plus 4 or 5 plus 5, or here also same procedure, 6 plus 4, 5 plus 5. Now it is left to the student that either they can go with the first A completely or first B completely. Likewise, you will get 5 units. Okay, 5 into 10, it is 50. At the same time, if I consider part B, okay, so part B, I will get total 8 questions from all 5 units, and you have to answer any 5. And each question carries 2 marks. So 5 into 2, it is 10. When I add 50 plus 10, what is my final marks? It is 60. So dear student, we have 60 marks. It is theory, and we have 25 marks. It is for your lab. That is your practicals. Okay, fine. Now the question arises, if you want to become master in this subject, which is the textbooks I want to refer. So the textbook prescribed by the university is to refer, that is PHP and MySQL for dynamic website. Okay, which is the edition, 4th edition by Larry Ullman. So this is the textbook you have to refer. Anyway, dear student, in my today's class, I started with introduction about PHP and MySQL. Anyway, dear student, let's meet in the next session with the Unit 1. Until that, keep watching and keep learning. Thank you.